This boy named Alec Igret was just an unemployed brat who spent most of his time doing useless things like fishing around the capital. A flashy magician named Elders approached him and asked if he was interested in magic. At first, Alec thought that Elders was Diddy's agent, but it turns out he was actually interested in teaching him magic. Elders soon started teaching him how to cast spells by making him imagine the friends he would make in the future and how he would need to save them from monster attacks. Thanks to his trauma-heavy teaching methods, Alec managed to learn magic quickly. Even then, he was disappointed that it took him a whole day to learn a single spell, and he didn't even listen to Elders mumbling that it takes normal people a month to learn that spell. Alec eagerly asked Elders to teach him another spell, but the teacher told the overeager boy that one spell was enough for the day. Alec wasn't satisfied by that, but Elders remained firm on his decision, and they decided to waste the rest of their time fishing. Alec kept pouting the entire time, but then Elders boosted his ego by telling him that he had great talent for magic. He told Alec that even without his lessons, he would become a great magician in the future, and asked him to leave it to fate. Alec was shocked to hear this and asked Elders why he was teaching him magic in the first place. But before he could give an answer, a fish got caught in his line. Elders panicked because he had never caught a fish before, and Alec laughed at him before helping him out, saying that a magician as skilled as him should know how to catch fish. Anyway, their life as a student and teacher continued as time passed, and Elders taught Alec a lot about magic. But then one day, Elders suddenly announced that he was leaving the capital. Alec was devastated by this news because that meant he would never meet his teacher again. But Elders had a final piece of advice for him. He told Alec that if he ever got the chance to become a court magician in the future, he should refuse to take the role. Alec couldn't understand what he meant by that, and asked Elders why he even taught him magic in the first place. Elders shed his gloomy expression for a moment as he talked about Alec's late mother, who did him a great favor when she was alive, and he was just trying to repay her son by teaching him. That was the last time Alec saw his teacher, and he worked hard to enter the Royal Magic Academy so that he could meet him again. There, Alec found that Elders was once a student of the same academy and had graduated at the top of his class, becoming a court magician soon after that. However, he was kicked out from that post in a few years, and Alec realized why Elders told him not to become a court magician. But instead of following his teacher's advice, Alec decided to become a court magician so he could change the unfair imperial court itself. Long story short, he succeeded and became a court magician. But it turns out he should have listened to Elders' advice. Alec realized this only when Crown Prince Regulus fired him from his adventure party in the middle of a dungeon. When he asked the prince for a reason, the blonde told him he was being fired because he was useless. Regulus talked about how he risked his life on the front line to beat monsters, how the fire magician Lenny used her spells to repel monsters, and how their tank blocked enemy attacks. On the other hand, Alec stayed in the rear all the time and could only cast pitiful support magic. Regulus said they didn't need a loser like him in their party, then further insulted Alec by saying that he didn't even deserve to be called a court magician. Alec tried to explain why he only used support magic, but Regulus didn't want to hear it. Lenny agreed with him, calling Alec a coward who didn't have the guts to go deeper into the dungeon, and saying he was always holding them back. Nine silently nodded in agreement as well. And then Lenny said they had put up with him only because the king ordered him to join their party. However, now that the prince decided to kick him out, she saw no reason to behave politely with him. Regulus then said that Alec must have gotten the top score at the academy by giving a handy to the professors for extra credit. He asked Alec why he had a dagger when commoners were forbidden from carrying weapons. Alec explained that they would need the dagger for the next dungeon floor, but Regulus got furious. He took the dagger away, grabbed Alec's collar, and shouted that no one in his party disobeys him. Then the prince snatched away Alec's court wizard robe, telling him he didn't deserve it. Devastated, Alec had no choice but to leave the dungeon. However, despite being fired and humiliated, he still wanted to help Regulus and the party. He prepared some notes that could help the prince tackle the lower dungeon floors, especially since Regulus lacked magic power. The next day, Alec went to the palace to meet the king, but the guard stopped him, telling him he had been removed from the court magician post, and that commoners were not allowed inside without permission. Shocked, Alec stood frozen. Just then Lenny walked up to rub salt into his wounds. She told him to get lost and walk back inside. Alec begged her to listen just once and requested that she take the notes to the king, since he was the one who made Alec a court magician. Lenny took the notes, only to tear them up and stomp on them. She then ordered the guards to throw him out, leaving Alec hopeless and jobless in the middle of the city. He finally realized that he should have listened to elders and not become a court magician. Suddenly, he heard a familiar voice calling his name. Alec turned and saw a redhead staring at him before running up and hugging him. He took a moment to process it, but eventually recognized the girl as Yora, an old friend from his academy days. They sat down to catch up, and Alec told Yora how he was kicked out of the prince's party and stripped of his position. Furious, Yora cursed the kingdom for discriminating between nobles and commoners, and Alec had to calm her down before people heard them. Then Yora said it was actually a good thing that he was fired. Alec didn't even react after everything he had endured, but then Yora reminded him that she once promised to make him join her party someday. Alec remembered, and Yora revealed she had come to the capital for that exact reason. She got up, stretched her hand toward him, and asked him to conquer dungeons with her. Alec was happy to receive the offer, but he doubted himself after being fired. Yora didn't care. She told him that the only magician she wanted in her team was him, and that no one else could replace him. Alec got emotional and accepted immediately, and Yora gladly welcomed him into her A-rank party, lasting period. The next day, Alec left the country with Yora, remembering elders' advice about court magicians. A few days later, news of Alec leaving the country reached Regulus and his party, but they didn't care. Regulus complained that Alec was hailed as a genius, and he had high hopes for him, but now thought they wasted their time because of him. Lenny reassured him that they didn't need to worry since a pure-blooded noble would soon join the party and make them stronger. Meanwhile, Alec and Yora reached Fizzle, the city of dungeons. Yora explained that the city was packed with adventurers and didn't discriminate between nobles and commoners. She wanted to get Alec registered quickly, but the guild shocked them. The receptionist said Alec couldn't join Yora's party because they explored deeper than floor 30, and Alec needed to be a guild member for at least 2 years before he could be allowed. Yora threw a tantrum and demanded an exception, but the receptionist refused. Yora asked whether her friend Kra had said something, and the receptionist confirmed Kra came and threatened them, but they dealt with crazies daily, so it didn't matter. Empty-handed, Alec and Yora went to a public park to eat lunch. Yora told Alec that their party had reached floor 52 and couldn't wait 2 years for him, but she refused to give up. If they couldn't go to deeper dungeons, they would warm up in shallow ones. Alec agreed, and they immediately went to a low-level dungeon filled with insect monsters. Yora boosted Alec's speed with reinforcement magic and dashed through monsters effortlessly. But soon she noticed the number of bugs wasn't decreasing. They were growing stronger. Alec agreed, saying something must be wrong in the nest. As they fought, Yora activated her shield and charged forward. Alec warned her it was risky, but she told him this was nothing and said he had lost his edge. She reminded him that the Alec of the past would never struggle with monsters like these. She asked him to trust her and become his true self again. Alec realized she was right. Remembering Elder's lessons about saving his friends, he regained his confidence. He unleashed fireballs, took down monsters with ease, and even fought using his dagger. But then a massive swarm surrounded them, until Yora cast a barrier, buying Alec time. He prepared a huge wide-area spell that instantly disintegrated every bug. Just as things calmed down, the ground rumbled and a gigantic earthworm burst out, nearly swallowing Yora. Alec shouted for her to activate her shield and promised he would save her. Yora trusted him completely and raised her shield. Alec then summoned a fire serpent that engulfed the earthworm, reducing it to ash while Yora remained unharmed. As she landed safely, she ran to Alec, saying he was still the strongest attack mage she knew. Their fight reminded her of their academy days when they struggled against a 5-headed dragon whose hide was too tough and whose attacks were relentless, until Alec obliterated it with one spell after charging up long enough. Thanks to that, they cleared the 68 dungeon floor and set a new academy record. And now, Alec was finally joining that same legendary party once again.